Hi everyone, I'm going to do a book review today on Monstre by Duncan Swan. This book is a horror. There are gruesome scenes in there, like intestines being ripped out of somebody's body, people that were decapitated, people committing suicide, talk about rape, child rape. Child rape doesn't actually happen, just to be clear. It's just kind of like talked about briefly in part of it. And I said murder, right? Yeah, there's murder. So in Monstre, there is a scientific laboratory over in Europe, and they're not doing anything nuclear or anything of that sort, but they are doing a bunch of different kind of testing. Now, what happens is there's some weird kind of reaction, and there is kind of like an explosion that happens within, I don't want to call it the power plant, but inside this facility. Now, this facility is like a top secret kind of place, like where it's like 30 floors underground and encased in a bunch of cement. And you start out with a guy who is like a statistic expert. Like, he statistically knows like the percentage of like the likelihood to die of like a shark biting you or having a heart attack. So he is actually working at that facility when everything kind of goes to crap and this explosion happens, and he's trying to escape. He's like in his 50s or 40s, you know, he's fat, he's like basically having like a heart attack, but he manages to make it out. So you get to see this guy make it out of this facility. There's like a giant nuke basically that goes off, and there's the radioactive kind of dust cloud that happens. Now, I wasn't sure exactly what the monster was until like a couple chapters later, because they thrive in the dark, so you don't really see them, or the characters don't really see them until later on. Like, you can hear that they say like there's like a clicking sound, or they just like kind of see something shifting out of the corner of their eyes, stuff like that. So to me, in my mind's eye, when they're described to me, they are more insect kind of alien monsters. Like, one of them was called like a giant centipede. There are other ones that are like the size of the bear that kind of made me think like Starship Trooper kind of monsters. There's ones that are like the size of a cat or small medium-sized dog that latch on to people. So there's a different array of monsters, but it doesn't really give a super detailed description of the monsters. So to me, it's more more insect. So it's kind of hard for me to sit here and really describe what they look like. So one of the great things about this book is that you follow multiple different people. Like I said, you follow Jesse in the beginning. You also, later on, you follow like two separate military guys. Like, one's named Levi, the other name is like Coulter. You follow this woman named Sarah, who's a police officer, and another retired police officer named Tracy. You follow a criminal named Clay. And there's a couple other ones too that just aren't coming off to the top of my head. Those are like the main ones, though. There is another main one, like a scientist who actually escaped the same facility as Jesse. I think his name was Allen, Mr. Allen. I might be mistaken, so don't quote me on that. You also follow him too. And you follow these two different groups. So you have like Sarah, Tracy, and Clay are in America. And then like Levi, Coulter, Jesse, the other scientist, which I'm pretty sure his name was Alan, they're all in Europe. So you're actually getting kind of like two different time frames, because you're getting the when it's happening, or within a couple, like while it's happening, or within like the first couple days or week of everything happening. You're getting that, and that's over in Europe. but then you're getting like the future of what happened or what's happening in the stateside. So when this explosion goes off, like I said, there's like a dark cloud that just engulfs everything. So what happens is when this dark cloud starts to spread, that's when the monsters can spread as well, because they don't like sunlight. So the dark cloud is now moving from Europe over to America. So everybody in America has just gone batshit, whether they've like killed themselves, killed each other. Definitely like a post-apocalyptic kind of world going on, where people is like basically just trying to survive. You have people who are trying to go to, I think it was like Colorado, where there's supposed to be a bunker of some sort to stay and like find shelter, but they don't know if there's actually anybody there, if that's a real thing. So I really did enjoy this book. My only issue is that it's only the first book, so that means I have to wait for the second book to come out to figure out what happened. So I legitimately wasn't expecting there to be that cliffhanger and for me not to get the ending of the book. But in general, I think the book was really well written and I really enjoyed reading it. It wasn't, I would say, like, even though it's classified as a horror, I would not classify, or I would not say that it was like so scary or so gruesome that I like had to put it down and I couldn't read it anymore. So I do think that even though there are scary parts, it's not that scary, but it is well written and I do like it. And the changing of the viewpoint keeps it interesting, so you're not just following one person, and it keeps the story flowing and moving along and progressing really nicely. I hope you have a good day. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye everyone.